Is Free Fire a misfire? Let's find out. Hello Fanatics, I'm Dylan Phillips, and this is the Film Fanatic Review bringing you Free Fire with Sharlto Copley, Cillian Murphy, and Armie Hammer. First, we'll tell you our initial thoughts and what the movie is about. Then we'll move on to some spoiler-free likes and dislikes. We'll finish up with some spoiler-heavy thoughts on this film, and our final word. Overall, I was slightly disappointed with this movie. When I went into it, I thought I was going to be getting a more action-packed Reservoir Dogs, but instead I got a lot more comedy, as it relied more on the slapstick humor of the story rather than the action and suspense sequences. Free Fire is set in 1978 Boston, where a gun deal between two gangs at an abandoned warehouse turns into a violent shootout. For what I liked about this film, I'll start off by saying that this type of film relies heavily on the performances of its cast, and they didn't disappoint. Standout performances by Sharlto Copley and Armie Hammer. There are also a lot of great one-liners in this film, not particularly ones that are going to make you fall on the floor laughing, but definitely going to give you a chuckle once in a while. As for what I disliked, I found that there was passable character development at best. Although I don't think that there was necessarily much more needed for a film like this, considering how the story actually panned out. The forced motivation in this movie to kind of start things rolling was a bit unrealistic for me, and so it kind of took me out of it, but a film like this where everyone's just kind of shooting at each other, there's not really much to go on for realism. However, throughout the second act it does drag a little bit, and that got to me as well. The trailers for this film make it appear to be a very action-packed flick, but in the end what you get is just some mediocre action here and there with no real stake raising throughout the movie, and so the tension doesn't really rise. I wasn't a huge fan of the direction and cinematography in this film because the handheld camera made it very hard to follow some of the scenes. And lastly, I found that Brie Larson's character was definitely out of place in this film. I don't know if it was her specifically, the writing for the character, or just the direction and how they added her into the movie, but it just didn't seem to fit for me. And that's where I'll end our spoiler-free thoughts on this film. If you want to hear our final word or rating of this film, pause now and click the link in the description, because now it's time for spoilers. First off, I'm going to explain what I meant by the forced motivation in this film. So basically, the entire shootout starts because one guy from either side starts arguing about a fight that they had the night before. Now, in a realistic scenario, the leaders of both parties are not going to just start pulling their guns and firing at each other as if they have a death wish. They're going to tell these two guys to go to a corner and sort it out or deal with it themselves. They're not going to let these guys stop this deal because one of them wants to get the guns and the other one wants to get money, and if you screw up the deal just over some stupid fight that you had at a bar the night before, then you're not going to have much business. So I found that forced motivation was a little unrealistic, so it pulled me away from the movie, but as I watched the movie and it went on, I started to realize more and more that this was more of a comedy rather than an action or drama, and so because of that I kind of gave it the benefit of the doubt because it made sense for a movie like this. I'm also going to reiterate that I absolutely loved Sharlto Copley in this movie, no matter how many times I screw up his name. I found that half the time I couldn't even understand what he was saying, but just his mannerisms and reaction to everything was absolutely hilarious. And finally, those brutal death scenes. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. First off, Copley getting his nose shot off and showing it on camera, but also one of the dudes getting his face rolled over by that truck. I mean, I didn't anticipate those things happening in this movie. I just kind of expected people to shoot each other back and forth and there to be blood spilling out of them. I didn't expect very gory violence, and it was awesome. So, with the thoughts heard, here's our final word. Free Fire is a fun action comedy filled with great performances and some dry humor. Although the premise is action-packed, the film turns out to be more slapstick than shootout, making this story misfire. This film could have been a more action-packed Reservoir Dogs had it dug deeper into the character development and built up the tension. However, it's still an entertaining film, so I'm gonna give Free Fire a 6.5. Thanks everybody for watching our review. Are you planning on seeing Free Fire? Or if you've already seen it, do you have something to add? What did you think of the story? Let us know in the comments below. I'm Dylan Phillips, and this has been the Film Fanatic Review. If you liked this video and you want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Check out our latest Fanatic 5 video where we discuss the top Chris Evans roles. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. We post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Until next time, Fanatics, keep it real.